Good afternoon, everybody. I am Atul Ujagar, and I have this job of moderating today's session. Thank you all for being here. I'll quickly start with introductions and our backgrounds, and what we'll do is let me just straight away shoot into the discussion and hand over the mic to you for your introduction, and then we'll go this way, and that should do the justice. So Hemant, over to you.
Hi, I'm Hemant. I head the private brand business for Cocoblu, which is a part of Amazon ecosystem. In industry for last 25 years, worked with Madura, Reliance, Amazon, these companies majorly, and now here.
Hi, I'm Anindya, and I'm a co-founder on a tech company called Blue Cactus, and I am founder and CEO of a buying house called Studio Earth. We do design to delivery services. Otherwise, I've spent about 37 years in the industry, 37, I think. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nutan Rongta. I've been with the industry 40 years, last 25 years in the US, mainly into sourcing, buying, and merchandising. And I also have a brand called a jewelry brand, which supplies to the major stores over there. I also represent the Indian Trade Council as their US counterpart, so bilateral trade between countries.
Good afternoon, I am Mehul Pancholi. I'm in fashion industry for past 25 years. Right now, I'm co-founder of Multifly Lifestyle Private Limited. We provide adaptive clothing solutions for persons with disability, elderly, and patients. And I've been in this industry from Creative, Ashima, Arvind, Blackberries, and now Multifly. Yeah.
Great. So we have an eminent panel, and we kind of jammed up a little earlier, and we'll go through all these topics today. But let me introduce myself. I'm Atul. Been in the industry for roughly about 32 years, NIFT, so it's great to be with some of my seniors. But for the major part of 28 years out of my career, I have been managing Nike's global sourcing operations for India, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan, and a little bit of Vietnam. So my background is pretty much into sourcing and global ops and supply chain. So that's where I come from, and I'll talk from that vintage point. Whereas all my colleagues have much more domestic India experience and exposure, so they will talk from that lens, right, as we navigate through the next 40 odd minutes. So this is what we'll do. These are our themes that we'll try and touch upon. And we'll have a very informal, open, and active session. So our topic is future of sourcing. What are the trends? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities that we see in sourcing world? We'll take a little bit deeper dive into consumer-driven sourcing, agile supply chains. So those are the key themes that we'll try and wrap up in our next time. In the time allocated of 40 minutes. We'll have real-time demand visibility and decision-making. We'll also talk to data analytics and IT and how it relates to our industry and sourcing. And last but not the least, we'll talk about resilience and our sustainability and some of the themes related to that. So that is what we'll cover in today's discussion. So let me kickstart it with you, Nutan. Consumer-driven sourcing, what does it mean to you? And what have you seen in your experience this industry evolve to? And where do you see the challenges and where it is headed?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about consumer behavior or sourcing from the consumer perspective, but also from the export perspective, because my last 25 years, I've been a buyer for many retailers there. And the typical challenges that come is the manufacturer does not know what to present, or they do not come prepared, especially in the startups and the middle segment exports. So my suggestion there is understand your customer, understand the customer's demographics, what he or she needs. Come very, very prepared for that. Because typically what happens is when the buyer is here in your office, the manufacturer is dumping merchandise after merchandising, and the buyer is fed up and does not have the time to deal with it. That has been my experience over the last 25 years. Come very precise, what age group, what price point, No matter how good or how innovative your new product is, she or he will not look at it. She does not have the time for it. Come prepared, show her only 10 pieces, but very focused. And that's where you will win. The more you dump, the more she's going to hate you. So that is my first advice. Second is also learn the trends. What exactly are they looking? Again, it goes back to the consumer. Understanding the consumer and understanding your buyer as well. What are her traits? How does she pick? How does she go about it? How fast is it? Be well prepared. Again, I just say be well prepared. That is the key.
On this. I'll put in a little bit of a tech angle. So one of the things that technology is doing really is it's democratizing everything, right? And I have been a buyer for a large part of my career, right? Merchandising and buying is what I've been doing. Consumer brands. But the problem that happens in our industry, and which is something that I feel Indian retail is today struggling with, is the concept of the buyer itself. So what technology has allowed us to do is it is allowing the creator to directly connect with the consumer, right? So the buyer is required for what is a question mark today. And as we look at more and more platforms and D2C companies coming into place, companies are moving into a situation where the creator can directly showcase the product and the consumer is the buyer. So there's nobody in the middle saying this is what you need to buy, right? And the whole industry today is hinged upon the fact that, let's say for example, that we have 1,000 crore brand, right? We will end up having an inventory of 500 to 600 crores. Let's assume that this brand now wants to become a 10,000 crore brand. So are we saying that the company has to then invest 5,000 to 6,000 crore buying inventory? And that inventory would be bought on the basis of what? One person or a set of people who apparently have skill sets, who put their finger on a product and say, I know this is going to sell and hence buy crores worth of that product. Right? And this is becoming extremely difficult for companies to do and sustain, which is where actually D2C companies and platforms are making a huge difference. So while I don't think the concept will ever go away, मतलब नहीं जाना चाहिए, मेरी रोजी रोटी बहुत सालों से इधर से आई है, but I think companies need to virtually reinvent what it means to buy and how to connect with consumer. So I don't know, I mean, maybe Hemant would kind of want to talk a little bit about, because he is directly more into this.
Typically on an online space, you get a lot of signals what people are looking for. In online it called as a glance views, which gives you a good indication that what people are looking for. You focus on the keywords which people are searching for. So let's say you see as summers come, people are looking for white t-shirt, or let's say people are looking for white kurtis. These trends actually help you to understand that what are the trends which are going to come. So top 10 or top 100 keywords are basically the indicator that next 3 months what's going to happen. If you take that data and use that data and be around it, it gives you a lot of mild signals to understand that what's going to happen. And typically on online space, that become a main theme for retailers or online retailers to create the line and be very close to consumer. When you are close to it, generally we've seen that your sell-throughs are better and you will see a higher success. So it's very important to understand what consumer are looking for, what keyword they are searching for, where the glance views are higher, but the merchandise is not there. So it means that these are the things people are looking for, but it's not available on your platform, so you need to make it available for them. So these few indicators, being close to them and analyzing them and using them, that become a main key for success.
Mehul, you want anything to add? Please go ahead.
So I come from a space where the demand is the customized demand. And these are a very specific requirement for the ability of the person. It can be like a friend of mine just called me day before yesterday that his mother has just suffers from osteoporosis, met with an accident, a terrible fall, and the right hand is broken. She has a traction on the left side and a urine bag. Okay, so I come from a space where every piece is unique and based on the ability or the disability of the person and a very specific requirement. So that's also, we will have to gear up for such kind of demand, and it's going to grow.
Thank you. I'll just add from the brand and the company that I've worked for all this while. So at a 33,000 feet, you got to know your consumer. So the brand which I have worked for, and we don't look at customer, buyer, we look at the consumer. And we want to get inside the psyche of the consumer, that, hey, how old is he or she or it? And what does he or she or it want, right, in terms of products? And we start and focus on everything around that consumer. And you need to get the demographics right, you got to get the psychographics right, you got to get everything, you got to know that consumer inside out. And our consumer is typically a person who's young from 15 to 22. That is our target consumer. And everything that the brand does around that is focusing on that. So I think knowing that consumer really helps all the way back from a chain, from a merchandiser, merchandiser, buyer, and then people who come in the supply chain to our partners who manufacture our product. So it's knowing that consumer is ultimately make or break, as I see for everybody in this room. If you don't know your consumer, probably you're not going to make it. So let me dovetail into the second topic about agile supply chains. And I'll kickstart because I took that as a theme that I can speak about, and then I'll hand it over to my fellow panelists. We, as a company, a few years back when COVID hit, I think the world was waking up in terms of global supply chains to how necessary is agility and speed and diversifying your risks with respect to where you manufacture, who are your partners, do they have multi-country capability or not, and multi-product capability as well. And despite having Nike Works, it's a pretty large organization. It's a $50 billion organization. And I have managed a business of $1 billion myself with my team in this region. So I can speak to it when a COVID hits and we are not prepared for it. No brand is. And the shipments don't move from Vietnam to China because all the bottlenecks that happen in Hong Kong. It was a big wake-up call. And all brands started diversifying their sources. And the word agility really is high up in all our parameters that we undertake now with respect to multi-country sourcing. And I can share that our brand's globally ready for a COVID 2.0, and I hope it never ever happens. But trust me, when I speak for a lot of global brands, they are much more prepared to manage a catastrophe like that, should it, or close to that, supply chain disruptions happen on a global scale. India is beautifully placed, though. We have a lot of local manufacturers, local consumers, local supply chains that operate here. But at the same time, a lot of that is imported too. So it is a sort of a complex marketplace when it comes to sportswear and that product, because all that, at least the raw materials are still imported big time into India. But let me just give it again to Mehul. You wanted to speak a little bit about this topic as well?
Yeah. So when you're saying that you have to be agile, I think my bit comes into part is about product development. How fast you can develop and turn around a product so that you have enough lead time for sourcing. That's important. I was looking at technology support in this particular department or section. Was that do we have enough yarn skins available from the mills to a product developer where he can just pick that. During my Arvind days, we had this project with Excalibur, okay, and we ensure that whatever yarn skins is available, and especially the ones which doesn't meet the standard MOQs, okay, the smaller ones, and we created a range out of it. And we were able to supply smaller amount of fabrics compared to 1,000 meter or 1,200 meters. And Excalibur was happy with that. Unmesh was part of the designing team. So everything was given to him on platter, just to ensure that the designing is faster. Similarly, can we have a technology where all available yarns during that particular point of time is available on screen and with all the details, where a designer can convert it into fabric, into garments, and make a range out of it through maybe all those softwares like Optitex and 3D draping softwares, and you get approval as fast as possible. So reducing the product development cycle so that we can have enough time for sourcing. Yeah. So maybe that agility is what I'm looking for.
I'll just add a little bit to this. One of the things we see in the standard business is there are two parts to the whole supply chain process. First is deciding what to make, and second is making and selling it. Now, in any calendar, 6 months to 5 months it takes to decide what to make, right? And it takes about 2.5, 3 months to make it and push it, and I have not seen that go down much. So a large part of agility also comes in adapting overall systems into responding much faster to market. It's not just about the supply chain, right? I'm just adding to, because as companies take more and more, so what happens is there is stakeholder conviction. Am I convinced about the product I'm making? How many people have you shown it to? All this takes time and it's very expensive. And all this makes it very, very late to go to market. Today, consumer is not bothered about all this. They see a product or they want something, they want it now. They're not interested in waiting 3-4 months. So one of the biggest issues that is happening is that something I call the legacy model. Legacy model is the older way of working, the calendar, the way things used to work, is companies used to plan and forecast rather than react to trend. So one of the things that is actually emerging is how fast do you react to ongoing trends, right? And the strangest part is you will notice no company have I seen which actually measures reaction time. There is no company that measures reaction time, yet we want to react fast, right? So there are processes which new age companies, the D2C companies, platforms do, but even they, I'm not sure they are actually measuring reaction time. Because if you really want to be fast and quick to market, we need to actually measure, I'm seeing something, can I get this out within 3 days, 5 days, 10 days? So companies like Shein and all, actually, if you notice some of these D2C companies have moved so fast, they don't even put out a product. They actually create a virtual garment, put it out in social media. They have social media platform guys. They'll put it out, look at the number of likes they get. They make some 50 pieces or whatever number of pieces if they get enough likes. So there is one level of elimination. Then they will put that on. Now if it sells, again some products get killed at that 50 piece level or whatever. Then it sells, they'll make another 100 pieces or 200 pieces, right? And then, so what is happening is they're testing out the product as it happens, right? And they're eliminating any middleman in the way, but they're reacting extremely fast. Of course, China has a very strong base which works. India does not have that. But, I think it's a matter of time when manufacturers and companies start working on processes like this. And I think it's coming very soon because unless companies change, we are going to find it very, very difficult to kind of sustain the kind of ups and downs we are seeing in business today. I mean, that's for me.
Good point, Anindya. Do you have anything to add, Hemant?
On agility, I was actually discussing with Anindya. You see suddenly a trend of demand, at least in Indian market, for the bigger sizes, and it's important that you immediately react on it. You make them available. The most important part I feel on agility is how you make it less complex, and for that, are you restricting yourself for using a less number of fabrics? You're consolidating your fabric basis. You are making sure that that helps you to react fast and supply as per demand. I think these are the few things which are quite crucial when you want to be really agile. As soon as you make it complex with thousands of fabric bases, it becomes extremely difficult for you to react and make it happen.
Yeah, and all companies are definitely investing in technology tools to kind of make it faster. And I think any company is good enough as they are when it comes to tech and process. And third element to it is culture. So if at all you combine all these three, technology, processes, investment in tech, and culture of the company, then that'll set you to a little bit more better place as to where you need to go. So that kind of takes me into the next theme, and you probably did speak about it, the real-time demand visibility a little bit, Hemant, with respect to the bigger sizes that you alluded to. But I'll just again take our perspective on it as a company. So anytime any consumer buys anything globally, of course, the whole pull method of lean manufacturing kicks in which the product is bought and you know that there is a shelf space available and therefore you need to supply that. Now the whole challenge comes in, is it the same style? Is it a different, same style but new color? Is it a change style? And how do we kind of, replenish that product which is being sold? And that's where the whole agility and speed to market and all that kicks in. But again, we as a company have invested heavily in information technology tools and data systems. And I think it is one of the leading data investments that we have done over the years. By the way, I am out of Nike, so I can speak about all what my company does a little bit more, a little bit more openly for the benefit of everybody here in the room, right? So that is my intent why I'm here today as well. So on that technology part, the data analytics and IT, Anindya, would you like to share on this topic a little bit more?
Sure. So I'm co-founder in a tech company called Blue Cactus. So I'll speak a little bit about what I've seen and what we kind of see as trends that are happening. So one of the biggest issues that is really facing the industry today is inventory. And what I mean by inventory is right inventory, right? And then there is inventory that you don't need. How much are you forecasting? So the issue that is really happening is there are two ways to look at inventory, which is if you look at a long lead time, you have to keep more inventory. If you look at more distribution points, you have to keep more inventory, right? So how do you actually inventorize the product? How do you manage so many retail stores, yet manage lower inventory turns or much higher inventory turns becomes a very major aspect of, how supply chain or agile supply chains can help. So today what happens is when we do planning and we do forecasting, we do not take into account what an agile supply chain can do, right? So a lot of people actually ask that, because everybody forecasts and plans the same way. If you look at large retail companies, they'll have planning teams which are 20 people, 30 people planning teams, categorizing stores, etc., But nobody is looking at supply chain as a solution. They're looking at planning as a solution, right? Now, what works with supply chain is when you want to do very agile and quick supply chains is to get every stakeholder on the same platform so that they're talking seamlessly, right? So you have all stakeholders that make the product actually on the same platform and talking. Now, it's a very interesting fact. I don't know if how many of us realize it, but warehouse to consumer, right, is extremely tech-enabled. It's sexy, it's amazing. You've got, everybody opens an Amazon or a Myntra or a whatever page and everybody's page is different. They have AI telling you what to buy, right? Today people are discussing drones going and dropping stuff at your house. But the bigger question is, वो garment जो है ना, वो warehouse में आते कैसा है? How does it come there? No software. It is Excel sheets, handwritten notes, emails, phone calls, unbelievable, right? Isn't it something that somebody would have thought of, and how difficult is that? But the fact of the matter is this exists because people look at planning as a solution rather as agile supply chain as a solution. Had they thought of agile supply chain as a solution, people would have put tech there, but they didn't do because they thought planning will resolve, and it is not resolving. Fundamentally, consumer has shifted. Way consumers are buying has shifted. Where they are buying has shifted, right? But retailers and legacy businesses have not caught up to it. So In 2017, 2018, the US went through this big retail apocalypse, right? And there were companies dying by the, I think 50, 60 companies a year. But if you, and I was doing some project at that time and I did a little bit of research to see if Americans were buying less clothes. They were not. Then why were so many companies dying? Because fundamentally people were buying clothes some other place. They were not buying at the places that people thought they would be buying at. So people are still wearing more clothes, right? It's just that they're not buying where and how you think they're buying, right? And unless we come to this conclusion. So the way to adapt, I think, on an ongoing basis in terms of future of sourcing, which is the platform, is to actually adapt to an agile sourcing model, right? And get it on a tech platform which works for you and use that as a basis for planning. So don't plan 6 months ahead. Plan maybe a month or 2 months ahead and allow an agile supply chain to take over at some point of time.
So yeah, that kind of, and I see that we are just about hitting time soon, or we still have time. Okay, then we can just go into the last 5 minutes, you think? Okay. Yeah, the last topic for us is mitigate risks and supply chain resilience. Now these words are absolutely very important for us to just talk a little bit more, because resilient supply chain means that if a consumer demand changes and or if anything else goes up and down in your plan, your supply chain end to end is resilient to be able to respond to what the new circumstances and situation is. So a lot of global brands are thinking big time on those words, and again, after COVID, this is really very important that how brands are, because if at all you're operating at a size and a scale of a $50 billion company, you've got to be all this. Otherwise, there is no survival isn't possible. So anyone, Nutan, you haven't spoken in a bit, so maybe I haven't given you but please.
Yeah, I would just like to talk on the topic that Atul mentioned about that India is placed in a beautiful spot now. And our friend also added about that the Americans were still buying clothes, but India didn't supply. So, and I think it's the best time, and thanks to COVID and with Mr. Trump being back in the White House, India is beautifully placed for exports. We should take absolute advantage of it. There's a very strong anti-China wave going on, thanks to Trump and thanks to COVID. So this is our time to fix everything that we need to fix, everything that we discussed here, and just jump on the wagon and take advantage. If we lose this now, then there are the neighboring countries that will take over.
And it's not if, neighboring countries are taking over. Yeah, because I work in the whole zone of this subcontinent. There are some damn good supply chains out there and offerings from our neighboring countries. So 2 things from this forum, if I can close with. I know it is related to resilience and future of sourcing. If there are 2 critical things that we as a country could do, one, and I'm talking again from an export perspective, which Nutan kind of alluded to. One is to get access to markets in Europe by having FTAs or a little bit more duty advantages which our neighbors enjoy. And that would be a remarkable change in Indian exports booming. If at all we can just get one thing done, get an FTA with EU immediately. US is far away, and other countries have done that. And second, within all your domains, try to look at efficiencies. Try to look at where your losses are. Try to look at plugging in holes, either in time or manpower or your financial situations, which kind of make you do the same thing as you've done yesterday. That's not going to be good enough. So increase your efficiencies, think about value time, just see what best you can do within your setups, deploy technology, have caliber manpower run your operations. And then to your point, Nutan, sky's the limit for India. Any other closing thoughts, anybody, on this future of sourcing theme? Yeah, feel free to add.
Okay, so I'll share something which, Hemant and I worked on some time back jointly. It was a very interesting project which we did, which was working on 3 different pipes, or 3 different types of supply chain pipes, right? So what really happens in this is you have constant, let's say you introduce 200 options into the market, right? You allowed to sell, look at the rate of sale. Based on the rate of sale, you take a decision on whether you want to kill the product or you want to continue the product. Or maybe you want to probably watch it for a little more while. So if it is above a certain rate of sale, you continue the product. If it is below a certain rate of sale, you kill the product. And it's completely, clinical. There is no emotion involved in this. If you kill that number of products, reintroduce that many products. So over a period of time, what really happens is we start creating a pipeline of best-selling products that are constantly selling above a certain rate. So let's say we do 200, maybe 12 options work well. Kill the rest. You again introduce a set of products, maybe again 10 work. So your 12 has now become 22. Maybe 2 stopped selling, so it's become 20. But over a period of time, this 20, 25, 30, consistently fast-moving products emerge. And the whole idea, so one of the things that happens in legacy business and retail is हम लोग खुद ही product देखते देखते दुखी हो जाते हैं, तो हम उसको मार देते हैं कि it has been around. Consumer is not tired of looking at the product, but because we get tired of looking at the product, we tend to kill it. Right, because we don't look at rate of sale. We have designed for ourselves calendars कि इस दिन में season खत्म, इसको बाहर निकालो, बिके ना बिके irrelevant है. Right, now there are companies that are relooking at this whole process and how it works. And I don't know if Hemant would like to share a bit on this.
Typically,
1 minute
in the
to go.
online space, the product which are doing well, you have to replenish it fast, and that become your best sellers, and that basically win. And these 20% product are typically 80-20 rule, contributing to 80% of the sales. So I worked with Anindya on this project where we created the 3 different line where at certain product we always kept inventory ready. At some places the fabrics are always ready, and some places you launch it and you kill it and you move ahead. And that's the way these 3 pipes are consistently working at same point of time and delivering your revenue. And then they become a main ways of doing your business. So that's the way the work was.
Time's up.